What's going on, people? Seth here, Freestyle Swordsman. Yep, checking in as usual. Sitting here doing my usual. Just got off work about an hour ago, enjoying my Ghost of Tsushima second playthrough on New Game Plus. I got the Platinum Trophy on the original playthrough, trying to get some extra bonus trophies on the second playthrough, the expansion packs and all that kind of crap. But that isn't why I called you guys here today. Just watching a few new cutters out there, and even though they didn't ask for any advice, I'm going to give some unsolicited advice just to help you guys get your game improved, your cutting improved a little bit. It's booking me in Newport, so you guys kind of pardon me for a second while I get a puff. Look at that smoke go. Anywho, one thing I've noticed is tip speed. And I did the same thing when I first started out. I overswung. There's very, very little force you need to cut through a water ball, especially if it's filled up. Let me explain. So you got, most katana are around 2 pounds and some change. You got some that are around 3 that are really heavy. Some of the Hanweis get up to about 3 pounds. Some of the Bugays and stuff like that, and then you got other companies out there putting out heavier swords, but most of them are around 2.5 pounds. That's just the average weight for a katana, at least in modern day or whatever. Anyway, if you got a decent edge on the sword, even if it's just factory sharp, unless it's an Ito, which you shouldn't be cutting with an Ito anyway because it's not meant for cutting, it's meant for practice. There's very, very little force required to get through the bottles if it's a water bottle you're cutting. Now, if it's mats, bamboo, that's a different story. So you really need to know your target. I guess that's probably what I'm going to title this video. Know your target / tip speed advice for beginners or whatever. I don't know. I'll think about it. But if you're cutting through a gallon jug and when you get done, you're off balance trying to catch your feet back up, you're way, way over swinging. Just being honest. And especially on double cuts, on like thin walled water bottles, there's very little force needed to get through those guys. And also, not just from a safety standpoint or a form standpoint, but from the actual performing the cut standpoint. Because, think about it. Yeah, I'm having an ice out. So if you cut through this bottle, and you swing way over here somewhere and you're trying to come back around to get the second one as it falls, you might miss it. It's going to fall off the stand. You end up kind of chasing it or whatever. So, but if you cut through here and then you stop somewhere here and you come back, because you haven't used that much force, because it's not needed to get through this. If you're going way over here, you've put too much force in. Most cuts should stop. Say this is the sword. My hand is the sword. Actually, I'll just pick up the sword, damn it. It should stop like right in front of your belly. So if you're doing a Keisagiri and you're coming from the Hidari spot, it should come like right in front of your gut, right here, and stop. Of course, with the right angle and everything. Now, if you're cutting and you're cutting way, and the blade stops way over here on your left or way over here on your right, you're overswinging. It's too much force. Plus, it's going to prevent you from getting the return cut. We won't get into actual combat situations to where if you really overswing, you're left wide open. That's just kind of beside the point these days. But to cut through a bottle like this, you don't have to use your entire body, your entire strength. The blade's going to do most of the work. So let the blade do the work. Cut through it, stop somewhere around here, and come back. Now, the way you get used to that, the way I did, is I swung or I cut as slow as possible until I got to the point where I'm only another puff of the cigarette. I would start out slow, boom. Then speed up, boom. And then once I got through it clean, I was able to practice the return cuts. That's how I got pretty decent at doing doubles and multi-cuts on targets. Now, when you get into mats, of course, there's more force needed. But when you use that much force on a hard target, say a tatami, you know, was it Mugen Dachi or Jake Tatami, whatever. Of course, it's going to require more force because it's a thicker target. It's meant to simulate a human limb, arm, leg, whatever. So if you were to use the same amount of force on a bottle as as you do on a mat, you might get right here and then it's going to stop, and then you risk the mat turning over and causing a set in the blade. So you want to work up to that. But as far as bottles, if you're swinging and you're stopping way over here and you're almost falling over, you're using way too much force. So I hope that helps you guys out that are just starting to cut. And even if you're using a knife or a machete or a cleaver, whatever your blade of choice is, it should be a good stopping point to where not only are you cutting safely, but you're able to chain those cuts up, chain multiple cuts without wearing yourself out, being in a open spot, open state, and then possibly falling down and hurting yourself, cutting yourself, dropping the sword, or even hurting someone in the area. So if you got somebody watching you, walking by, a kid, dog, cat, whatever, think about them as well. So that's another rant on just cutting in general. Hope you guys have a great one. Peace, and I'll see you next time.